Do you ever feel stuck in the rat race? Life doesn't have to be that way if you're willing to put in the work. In Bigger Vision, Chris Garrison helps you discover the keys to abundance, freedom, and personal growth that let you live the life of your dreams. And now, here's your host, Chris Garrison.
Do you find yourself frustrated, like you can never get out of the weeds, the mud, and increase your finances? You look at these other individuals and you see them making choices that are not restricted by money. You see them having time available to go experience things in life that you wish you had time to go and experience. It's a frustrating situation when you feel like you're never moving past what you were a year ago financially. And you wonder, what is the key? What is the formula? What is this success formula that all of these other individuals seem to know, but I can't grasp? Well, I want to tell you how to get your money fast, how to expedite the speed of your money today, because there is the mechanics of money that you need to understand that is going to allow you to move into a very successful place financially, but you don't get taught this in school. You don't get taught this by society. Because the way we have been trained we've been set up to only know how to trade our time for money. And that is the fault and the reason why you feel like you're stuck in the mud financially. Because there's only 24 hours in a day, and you do need rest, and you do need time to socialize, and you do need time to take care of your health. But instead, we're told, work yourself to death and enjoy life later. And life later never comes because you cap yourself when you only trade your time for money. So there's 3 different ways that you can trade your time for money, because this is where we all start. We all start in that position because we don't have the money yet. And that's the next stage, is getting out of the trading your time for money and having money to trade for money. But right now, I want to communicate where you're at, which is where you are having to trade your time for money. So how can we increase and scale this? There's 3 different ways. One is a one-on-one situation. So that is going to be you communicating to one person and adding value to their life, whether it's giving them a product or a service. You're going to add value and you're going to get paid for that value. The next step of scalability is where you're going to do one to a small group. This is where you're going to have 5, 10, 15 people, maybe a few more than that, and you're communicating your value to them at once so that you have more ears and eyeballs watching and listening to you. Then we have the one-to-many concept. This is where you've got a multitude of people that have the opportunity to hear the value that you have to provide so that they can pay you. So what does this look like one-to-many? YouTube, a podcast. These are platforms that allow you to give one to many. What about the one to small group? Maybe that is a Zoom call, a webinar, a FaceTime call on a multi-call situation. But the one-to-one is where most of us sit at. You pick up the phone and you answer it because you're sitting in the office and a phone call comes in. Now let's talk about skill sets, because there's different levels of value based off of the skill set that you bring to the marketplace. I just told you now 3 different ways to scale your time that's being traded for money. But how do we get the maximum amount of money for our time? That is based off of the value that you're going to bring to the marketplace, which simply means what kind of skill set do you have? And is it in high demand? So let's break it down for a second. Let's communicate on the cleaning level, because that's the industry that I'm in. If you've got a maid service, a janitorial service, and it's you, and you're going in and you're cleaning the home with products that came off of a box store shelf, it's not a very high valued service because there's a low barrier of entry. Anybody, almost everyone has cleaned something before. Their room growing up, their vehicle when they got of driving age, their house when they became an owner or renter. At some point, everybody's cleaned, so there's a level of understanding on how to clean. And anyone can go to the box store and purchase these chemicals and tools that will allow them to clean effectively in a home. So there's not a high demand on it because there's more individuals that are available to choose from. So the value that you bring to the marketplace is not going to be compensated at a high rate of return. You're not going to make as much money per hour when you're cleaning homes as you could if maybe you were carpet cleaning. Because now there's a higher barrier of entry because there's a specialized piece of equipment that has to be purchased and it can't just be found at any box store inside of your community. There's a little bit of knowledge of knowing how to run that machine and what chemicals need to be used so that you can achieve the results you want, like removing red wine or Kool-Aid stains out of carpet or gum that's been dropped by the kid and stepped on. So now you're going to be able to be compensated at a higher rate because there's less supply for people to choose from in carpet cleaners compared to the maid service that's out there and available. You can probably communicate in your church or any other group organization and ask for someone that cleans homes, and you're going to get multiple referrals. But these people can only clean so many homes because they don't understand systems and processes and leveraging. So I don't want to get off on that tangent yet. So what skill set are you bringing, and is it a high value skill set? Typically the barrier of entry, like for instance, having to purchase a $25,000 machine to be able to clean carpet, that's a barrier of entry for most folks. The higher the barrier of the entry, the less supply for people to choose from for that service or product, and therefore you can charge more. So now that you understand, you need to bring a skill set that can be paid high. Let's talk about answering the phones in a business. Let's say that you are the one that answers the phones. If you just answer the phones and you're sending the calls to someone else that's going to be able to communicate at an educated level to the customer, the prospect, then you don't have a very high value skill set. But if you add salesmanship to that, where you have to close that prospect over the phone, and instead of delegating that to someone else, sending them to another line, you keep them on the phone and you sell them on the product because you've educated yourself on the value of that product or service. Now you bring a different level of skill set. Therefore, you will be compensated at a higher rate. Before, you was just answering a phone. You were just a middle person, a warm, nice voice that knew how to communicate politely. Now you have a skill set of knowing how to walk someone through the process of building value into whatever you're trying to sell, and then to ask for the close and to process the money. Two different things there. You brought new income into an establishment. Therefore, you have the right to get paid at a higher rate. These are things you should be thinking about to increase your revenue while you're having to trade your time for money. But let's talk about a business. A business owner takes his time, his or her time and money, and trades it for new money. So how is he taking time and money and trading it for new money? He hires new team members. Whatever their rate, hourly rate, or salary is costing them, that is money he had to pay out for them. But that individual is going to help that company make new money. Therefore, he traded his money for new money. And they have calculated what that return on investment is. Because a highly successful individual always knows or has some type of idea of what their return is on an investment of money, an investment of time and effort, whatever that might be. So when they go and they pay $20 an hour for someone to go answer the phone and close a sale, then they're expecting to make more than $20 from that person's effort per hour. And they can simply sit there and look at what their investment was of $20 and divide it by whatever money they brought in that hour. Now, typically it's not broke down that detailed by the hour. Most of the time it would be taken by a week or by a month or by a quarter or by a year. But you could take your investment and divide it by the profits, and that will give you the new money profits, and that will give you your return on investment. See, it's a different way of thinking. We're not taught this stuff in school. We're not taught this stuff. Most of our parents didn't teach us this. Society is not teaching us this. Society is teaching us to go work hard and work harder so that you can make more money and live below your means and save up. Put it all over and give the power to someone else. Give your free money that you're saving to someone else and let them invest it. Because we have not taken the responsibility of learning, of being financially literate. We have not taken a responsibility to learn money and finance. But that is the reality of the world that we live in. Money buys everything that's in your life. And without it, the quality of life drops. Money doesn't make you happy, but it sure in hell does buy the things that help make you happy, like trips, vacations, food, clothes, experiences, doctor bills. What about that? What about if you have health issues and you have doctor bills, but you don't have the money to pay them? Eventually, that health care is going to stop. This is why you should be focused on getting financially literate. In anything that has to do with money and finance, you should be learning, reading, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, because you're going to hear words and acronyms that you've not heard before, and it's going to begin to educate you so that you will understand the terminology in the finance industry, like return on investment, a very highly used calculation so that people understand the value that they're getting based off of what they're investing. So let's go back. The transition is you start with trading time for money, and how can you scale that to increase your money when you're in that stage? You're going to get more eyeballs and ears so that you have greater influence and you can scale it. So instead of doing a one-to-one, you'll do a one to a group, and then hopefully you'll get to a one-to-many aspect like sitting on YouTube and podcast. Okay? And then once you have enough money in excess of your living expenses, you're going to begin to take that extra money and invest it so it makes you new money. So if you've got a business, you're going to invest it in team members and equipment. If you don't have a business and you've got a high-paying W-2 job, you're going to invest it in whatever you enjoy. So maybe that's real estate, maybe that's flipping watches, flipping couches, flipping cars. Whatever it is, make sure your money is going into something else. And I just told you how to figure out if it's getting a higher return than the stinking stock market. You look at what you invested, and then you divide that by the net profits that you make. Because a lot of things do cost. If I buy a house, I've got some maintenance and repairs and whatnot, so I can't base it off of all of the rent that I get in or all of the sale proceeds. But I can look and see what was the money left over after I had to pay for all of that. And I take that money and I'm dividing my investment by that money, which is called my net profits. And that's going to give me my return on investment. So if it's 10%, I know for dang sure that I'm doing better than if my money was sitting in the stock market. And even more so, I feel in control because I do have control of my money. When you start to get around finance and put yourself into those areas and say, this right here might be boring at the moment, but this right here is going to allow me to have a non-boring lifestyle because I could take trips and hop on yachts and help others when they're in need if I want to help them, contribute to charities. I can order what I want when I go to a restaurant. All of these things change in your life when you have excess and surplus. But if you can't even take care of yourself, you better not be thinking about trying to take care of someone else because you don't have the means to do it. This is why it's so important that you learn what we're talking about today. And you've got to get out of the place of only trading your time for money to ever be in that position. You have to move from time and money traded for new money. That's the equation: time and money traded for new money. So what are you going to do to skill up? Find out what you're passionate at. Find out what you think you might be passionate at if you don't know. Find something that pays great. Google it. What is the margins, the net profits on this type of skill set? How much revenue can be made with this type of skill set? Whatever it is, Google it. Begin to study and investigate and find what you need to plug into to learn a skill that's going to pay, and then start to investigate how you can scale that by getting in front of more individuals that want that service or product. Don't overcomplicate the process. Skill up and trade your skills for money. And when you get extra money, you're going to keep skilling up along the way, and you're going to trade your skills and money for new money. It's that simple. Until next time, I want you guys to live in success. And if you are interested in more content about how to grow your wealth, especially with the vehicle of business, then check out Blue Collar Millionaire Facebook group. Every Tuesday, we interview a highly successful individual in business, and they drop golden nuggets for free at 11 a.m. Eastern every Tuesday of the week. And if you want hand-on-hand mentorship, then we have a program like that costs a little bit of money, where we deep dive into how to find a business, how to negotiate the purchase of a business, how to scale a business, and how to sell a business for massive income on the exit. Until next time, let's grow together.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.